That's my song, Poppy. Definitely check it out in the link below if you like the vibe. Today I am live with you. Yes, my hair looks crazy. I'm going to be doing my hair with y'all, finishing these braids or just cleaning up these braids. But what we're going to do is talk about Taurus. And in your chart, Taurus represents the brand. So, if you guys don't know, I've actually been working out with my own music path and working on my own brand. And it's definitely a process in trying to figure certain things out. Okay. But being that we have astrology as a tool, it can actually be a catalyst to help us bring out our brand and understand it through the path of Taurus. And I'm going to explain to you why Taurus, right? So let's first talk about why Taurus. I just want to share onto my Facebook folks because we are intertwined here on Facebook to YouTube. Let them know that we're live, so come join me. So here we go. All right. So why Taurus? Let's talk about why Taurus in your chart will show to you the parts of you that need and can be used for branding. Okay. So um more than any other sign, right? More than any other sign. While other signs, and especially like your sun placement, your moon placement, your definitely your moon can help because they are your personal planet. So they help drive the engine. But even if you don't have Taurus like planets or whatever, you have Taurus in one of your houses, okay? Even if it's not intersected, even if it doesn't have a cusp or anything like that, it still has energy that you can utilize. And the house placement matters as well, okay? So definitely let's talk about it. Like I said, I'm doing my hair as we go, y'all. So no, I am not any hair specialist or anything like that. I'm just knocking, what do you call it? Two birds out with one stone, whatever. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Dark Matriarch, the Divine Black Mother, Tanisha, peace and love. Let me know, y'all, what is your Taurus placement? Do you have planets in Taurus? Or if you don't have planets in Taurus, what house is Taurus in? Okay. 12th house Taurus. Awesome. Okay. Um, so yeah, we're gonna go through the houses. We're gonna go through the houses. First, we're gonna talk about why Taurus. Control my and focus my moon and Gemini energy. First, we're gonna talk about why Taurus. Then I want to talk about how to understand it in your chart. Now, it won't be like the end all be all, but it's a catalyst in helping you to start to bounce ideas and wait for actually the revealing to you of really what your brand is. Okay. So, sixth house Taurus in the house. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Okay. Why Taurus? Taurus, if you understand the bull, right? Taurus is actually connected to a few animals. It's connected to the bull, it's connected to the ox, it's connected to the cow, right? And all of these animals actually are used as a working, um, a working piece of meat, right? Whether it is using it to eat from the animal, or if it's used to carry heavy things, to carry people, to carry luggage, to carry, um, you know, everything from, all kinds of goods. The actual energy of that is it's carrying something, right? So the Taurus in you, the Taurus in your chart is like that. It's an animal that people use, that they eat from, that they use from. So it is a providing energy. Okay, that's the foundation of Taurus and understanding its energy. Okay. um Here's the other thing. These animals are actually, I don't know if they still are, but they're connected to the actual literal branding. Like, so if somebody owns an animal, right, they will do certain things to brand that animal so that it's claimed to be theirs. So even the idea of branding, it goes back to ownership, to possession, to Taurus, because Taurus is where you rule over the things you own, right? But also these animals, some of them, they get the hot fire. I don't know what it's called, but they take, if anybody knows what it's called, you can help me out here. um so they take it and they, put a fire on it and brand the animal, so the animal has a mark on them, right, that claims it to be theirs. So the idea of branding is almost literal when it comes to Taurus and the animals that are symbolic of Taurus. If we want to, just start right there. Now, the idea of branding can be very confused because a lot of energies out there, they, a lot of YouTube people and very well versed branding specialists, right? It can be still confusing because they take a lot of words like idea of brand identity, blah 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 blah. And so when we look at the astrology, it becomes a lot more simple to understand, in which your brand is okay. So when you look at Taurus and the Taurus energy, is very much so about, when you look at the Taurus and Taurus energy, it's very much so about what I am, right? It's I have specifically coming after Aries, which is who I am, but Taurus is what I have. Now you can have things, right? You can have things. And yes, sometimes people are things. That's another talk for another day. But it's also just what you have in yourself, who you are, what you are, and what you have about who you are, right? So these are the things that are almost not budging. That it is what it is. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I am. So when you're trying to figure out a brand, a lot of the times it's like, I'm trying to reach out over here and over there and put it together. And it's not outside of you. It's something that you do every day. It's something that you are every day. It's something that you're about every day because it's just you. Your brand is just you. Now, if you share with people all of the things that you do, all of the things that you are, and you stand in your truth about those things, all the things that you own, right? And you stand in the truth of those things, what ends up happening, right? Now we're moving into Gemini energy because you're sharing now the message. But what ends up happening is that people will give you information as to what about who you are that they like, right? And now becomes the true literal business marketing branding process. So, your job in discovering your brand is to share yourself, is to be yourself and to share your real, authentic life, possessions, and the things that you're about. Okay. And that is the Taurus way. Taurus is I am what I am. You get what you get. I all natural me. Right? And a lot of the times brands fall off because they're trying to create something contrived outside of themselves and they can't remain consistent. And it's so simple as to how to remain consistent with your brand. Well, if your brand is you and it's something that you do every day, then there's no way that you cannot be consistent, right? So you'll know that your brand is not doing astrology. To be a consistent astrologer for me would be doing horoscopes every day, giving weekly horoscopes, giving monthly horoscopes. And that's just not what I do every day. What I do every day is reflect and do this and do that. Now, some people might say, oh, you're still an astrologer, and I might take that. But what I'm really trying to do here is explain to you how I'm trying to find what is authentically me at the core of how I do astrology. It's not horoscopes all the time. It's not this, it's not that, but it's something else. And the more that I can just reveal that, the more that I start to really become my brand because I'm being authentic and I'm just sharing, okay, this is who I am, this is what I do every day. So I hope that that makes sense as far as being consistent, right? So a lot of the times you think, I need to create this idea of who I am as a brand and then put it out there. And it may not always be successful because you're trying to create that product, that perfect shaped product. But that actually comes after You just keep sharing who you are, and what you're about. Okay. So, for instance, if you're a tarot reader and you're trying to figure out, how do I get people, how do I stand out in my own brand? Well, you have to be yourself, right? So, yeah, you're doing tarot reading, but you're also maybe showing aspects of yourself, of your life, of how you do the tarot that's different, of how you express the tarot reading that's different. You might even make distinctions, like, some people use tarot this way, but I like to do it this way. And the reason that you're sharing that is because you really do like to do it a little bit differently, even off camera, right? So it has to be very authentic. Otherwise, you can't maintain the consistency, right? So your best bet, instead of trying to create this perfect product that you think is your brand, your best bet is just keep sharing who you are and what you are. Not everybody's going to like everything, but what you're doing is actually taking yourself, putting it out on the platform, and now you have people who will give you feedback. They might not give you literal feedback, but for instance, if you put out a aspect of you as a tarot reader where you're, blessing your cards, and you show an aspect of you as a tarot reader where you're, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something else, doing something else. But basically, you take two different aspects of you and you put it out there, and you get a lot of comments on one, right? Now your brand is shaping because you're sharing yourself, but now people are going to own, right? What parts of you do they like? With that information, you can duplicate, replicate, expand on, experiment, knowing that this is the one that people really liked from me, and start to take off with even more brand identity. So be yourself. It's so hard sometimes in this world to be ourselves. And when you look out into the world, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is what's successful. That's what's successful. This is what's successful. And you're trying to emulate those things. And the key is that you have something that is very distinct and unique about you. And in no, right, there's an idea in branding called commodity versus the brand, right? So there's a bunch of tarot readers out there, right? But what makes your tarot reading the one that your people are going to go to? That only happens when you allow you. And it's so simple, as Taurus is simple, but it's also so hard in the world that we live in. Okay. Um, so your brand is also what people just pick up from you the second, oh, I got to use that word, the second that they meet you. Okay. I was about to say the minute, but it's not going to work in my wordplay if I say minute. So the second that people meet you, they come up with an idea for themselves about what you are as well. Okay. So it is an interactive integration play, as Taurus is what I own about you, right? So, with that being said, what is the second sign of the zodiac? It's not Aries, it's Taurus. So, while people meet you first, like Aries, and with their eyes, and they use their Aries energy in the first meet, right? That's your rising sign as well, your first impression. It is in the second that they meet you, the second moment, that they start to come to a conclusion about, quote unquote, your brand, whether you're a business person or not. What is it that they put you in the box to stay forever as being, how they relate to you? If I introduce myself in a setting where I'm a mom, who does astrology or whatever, they might, just pick up from me something that associates with that every single time. So that's also crafting your brand. It's the okay. So let me just look at everybody's comment. Yay, live, live, live. It has to emanate from you. Be yourself. Yes. This is confirmation. Taurus from last night told me myself. I am like, okay, embrace yourself. Exactly. Embrace yourself. So um the ability to how to embrace yourself is to look at the parts of you that you are not embracing, and probably go hard on sharing those parts of you. So, for me, for example, for me, my biggest thing has been a fitness routine and a workout. And I've actually been incorporating that into my music journey. But I've been so much about, oh, once I get to the certain weight, then I will be, the music artist that I am. When in fact, the music artist that I am or want to be is right now me enjoying being healthier and sharing my journey in doing that. So it's not something that you achieve later, it's something that you are now. So when you feel like you need something else, that's a very strong, or you're waiting for something else to happen before you can be you or just be you, that's a very strong sign of an area of where you're not being yourself, basically. And so you'll battle with it. If you're battling in your mind as to, ooh, how do I show myself, that means that you're trying to figure out how to polish and make it so that you feel accepted and things like that. And when we look at Taurus in our chart, it's where we're worthy, right? It's where we're deserving. It's where we and this is stable fixed energy. It's where we are not going to budge. Okay. And when you look at branding, um, a lot of that is about staying exactly as you are, which is again very Taurus energy. But my point is saying that where you're worthy is where the dark side of Taurus shows up. You'll find that a lot of Taurus energy, their darker side is not feeling worthy, is not feeling like themselves, is not accepting themselves. That's the part of us that deals with insecurity, right? When that Taurus energy is not in its most strongest suit. So it's going to show in your branding where you're not secure, where you feel unworthy, where you feel like you won't be accepted, right? And it's so interesting because acceptance has a lot to do with other people owning you as being a part of their group, as being a part of their culture, being a part of their day to day aspects. When you become a brand, just like the animal, you become owned by your fans, followers, and subscribers. So, really embracing the fact that um, that's how that Taurus energy works out. I hope that that will be able to connect some certain buttons for you. Basically, if you're going to be owned, you want to be owned by your people. You don't want to be owned by people who want you to present a version of yourself that they think they want, right? That means that you are off brand because you're not yourself. And the people who are trying to own you and claim you are not your people, which will create a whole, environment for you where you're an abused animal, So that's a spiritual side to branding that I want to share. um, so now let's go through the houses. I have not done anything with my hair yet, but let's go through the houses and discuss Taurus through the houses, okay? And this can be just one way. It's not the only way. But one way, since we have astrology, let's put it into action. Let's use it to help bring up some ideas as to what our brand could be, depending on the house placement, okay? So I'm actually going to start with myself. It just helps me to start with myself because I create a language that I can use for the rest. And then I think I'm going to start doing that from now on. That's the best way for me personally to write horoscopes, is to look at my own, interpret my own, and then it creates a formula for me to continue throughout the zodiac. So I'm going to start with my placement, and I have Taurus in the eighth house. Okay, Taurus in the eighth house. First of all, the eighth house is deeply transformative energy, metamorphosis energy, right? The eighth house is also psychological energy. So I'm picking up already that a lot of my brand would be based on some of these things, because this is where I'm going to be the most consistent in doing and being, just being myself, on a daily basis. So a part of my brand might be signifying, well, what is it that I do every day that works on my mental healing and psychological healing? What is it that I do every day that, deals with the taboo and the occult, right? Because the eighth house is also those things. What is it that I do every day when it comes to sexual intimacy, integration, self expression through sexuality, right? What is it that I do every day that kind of is also about dying and rebirthing myself? Because the eighth house is also those things. So within that energy, I can start to apply it to the brand and be like, okay, yeah. And so one of the things I've been doing is working on integrating my music with a video. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to do 30 of these on Instagram where because I'm daily working through my own shit, right? Usually I come up with some sort of aha moment during the day where I'm like, this is my energy of the day that's pulling me more into a more healthier, into my own metamorphosis. So I take that idea and I'll put it to a video with me and my music and sharing, what I have learned for that day or what I'm embodying in that day for my metamorphosis, change, and psychological healing. Right. So that's the process that I'm going through. And no, I don't know if it's going to work, but because it's something that I do every day, it's it allows me to be consistent and all of that. Once I do it for a certain period of time, I can gather information as to what people like, if they like it, period, and which one did they like the most, which song did they like with a certain idea. Basically I get a lot of information from people once I put it out, and that is the process that I'm kind of working on. Okay, now let's move on to the ninth house. If you have Taurus in the ninth house is a place of being a teacher, and it's about um, you know higher knowledge, higher learning. And more than likely, you are probably doing something like this every day already, right? Because where Taurus is where we are fixed or um, not moving, basically. So if you are a teacher in the ninth house, right, then you might want to consider putting out, lessons, directions of the topic that you like to teach, because you're already doing it consistently to some degree. You may not even be like a legit teacher that teaches at a college, because that's what the ninth house is, like collegiate education. But you might be somebody who just has a lot of wisdom, who has a lot of experiences, ninth house, and you can teach or speak from that space. And what's great is that this is not something that you have to go out and learn something or do anything. And there's no middle ground, because where you are yourself, you're just speaking and teaching from your well of experiences and knowledge. And so it's so easy. It's so easy to do it, because of that. So that's where Taurus in the ninth house might want to start with looking at how to brand themselves. But if you have Taurus in the 10th house, you may be a really sweet boss, a kind boss, a pleasant boss, a boss who likes to give, a boss who likes to, like it's more of the style of the boss that you are. And so you might actually want to show how you boss people around, how you manage your life, how you manage your career, how do you, how are you the authority in life? This also might be where you show your parenting style, because the 10th house can also be, parents are a boss in a lot of ways, and the 10th house represents the parent. So you might be showing like yourself as a parent, and that's something that you do every day. It's not even that hard to just be like, let me show aspects of me being a parent. So in the 10th house, that's how you can start to understand your brand and see where it is that you're naturally consistent on, right? And start there. Just this is more of just helping the brainstorming to come more into fruition. Okay, let me take a break here. Taurus is on the cusp of the sixth house. Okay, so we're gonna get to that. Okay, sweet, sweet, love it, love it, love it. Okay, 11th house. So if you have Taurus in the 11th house, right? And I have 11th house series on fans and followers. I need to finish that series. It's such a good series. Um, Taurus in the 11th house, this is somebody who's consistently networking with their friends and their people and their followers, right? You're consistently going into your several groups of people that you deal with and operate with. You probably have a strong level of social intelligence, a strong level of understanding trends amongst, prestigious industries, right? So, like for instance, understanding the trends in the music industry, what is happening now, and relaying that information to your people, or working on something with people. So it's a networking house, right? And so showcasing your networking skills, your social intelligence, how to deal with a group of people, in a room, is something that you might be able to show people like how to do. You might even be like a speaker of, you know, like those TED Talk speakers. You might be something like that, or you might help people with their just networking styles, like how to put yourself out there. This is also very much a lifestyle area, the 11th house, and it has a lot. It's a lot of connection to the brand, because the 11th house natural ruler is Aquarius. And so Taurus and Aquarius share the fixed sign cross, right? So Aquarius has a lot to do with marketing as well, right? And how to market yourself. So that 11th house takes it to another level. You might just be a really good like online vlogger as well, because the 11th house has to do with the internet, which is the biggest network ever. Before the internet, people would go to like networking parties and social group parties, but now you have the internet, you have Facebook groups, you have Instagram, you have YouTube. So you might be somebody who's just vlogging, or just working on your internet savvy abilities here, right? So basically, or your trends, recognizing old trends, creating new systems of trends, creating a trending thing. These are big things for the 11th house. So that might be a catalyst to help you understand like how to get your branding off and going if you have Taurus in the 11th house, which is one of the branding houses. So you might be a brand specialist. Okay. Now, Taurus in the 12th house, the 12th house is the surrender of the ego, right? And the 12th house is where we go and cross over from body into spirit. It is the place where we channel from spirit, right? So where we intuitively gain messages from the other side, from our dream realm, astral realm, angels, all of those things, right? So as a Taurus in the 12th house, you naturally are tuned to the outside of the matrix, outside of the body. You're naturally in tune to the other side, to maybe even people who have passed on. Guys, I'm not a good braider. To people who have passed on, to the angels, things like that. So part of your work might be in speaking about your calling, or speaking about, or sharing your calling, sharing your intuitive gifts, sharing your spiritual beliefs, your faith, sharing your subconscious mind, sharing your dreams. These might be things that could help your brand. Your brand could be centered around dreams. It could be centered around subconscious healing. It could be centered around surrendering the ego. It could be centered around isolation, meditation, things like that. Your brand could be really strong on helping people to learn how to meditate, or helping people to learn how to let go. As the 12th house is where we let go of the body, let go of the money, let go of the titles, let go of the reputation, let go of this matrix of that, that we understand. Um, Great, great. I'm so glad that it makes sense. I'm just so glad it makes sense, right? And I hope that you can take this and run with it, and start to give you ideas, but also just let it reveal to you in your everyday, like what you do today, right now, besides watching this, what are you doing, right? And focus there. Okay, now your first house. So if you have Taurus in the first house, your brands might be modeling. It might be, showing your face, showing your body, first impressions. It might be, I said modeling because modeling, the first house has a lot to do with the face, and how you look. So in a lot of ways, whenever you have first house stuff that you're talking about, it's just about like just being a face, being you, showing up as you, right? So your brand might be just that. First of all, Taurus rules over your income house, or your income energy, right? Your attraction energy. So there's a lot of benefits in understanding owning things and being owned by people, and you want to be owned by people in the matrix in order to gain money. There's a very big connection there to people feeling like you are theirs. That's my this, that's my that. I go to her every month, I go to him every week. That's my masseuse, that's my tarot reader. When people start to own you, they start to give you money. And in the matrix, money is Venus, and money is, you know what helps you to be secure in this life, right? All right, so in the first house, Taurus in the first house, you might be a symbol, an emblem for a monetary thing or for somebody's money. You might a symbol because it's just about your face. All you have to do is just show up or share your personality. And let's be honest, like Taurus's personality is very chill, so really you're showing up. Like if it was like Sagittarius, I might have to say like, you need to show your personality, you need to go out there, you need to be extra. But it's just Taurus. Like Taurus is like, take me as I am, and love me for it. Love me. There's a song that goes, love me, not your idea of me. That's a Taurus thing. That's a Taurus thing. So now, Taurus in the second house. Taurus in the second house. Okay, so this is naturally Taurus's placement, right, guys? Um, so this is like being a monetary brand. This could be somebody who is taking everyone and creating cryptocurrency with them, or teaching people how to make money, how to invest money, teaching people how to yeah, they could be an accountant, they could show people how to budget, they could show people how to bargain, they could show people how to do anything that has to do with money. Because where Taurus is in your chart is where you don't budge, you're just consistent with doing that. I do want to talk about Mars as a secondary placement to look for how to feed your brand. I have a Mars and Taurus, so it's like one and the same for me, but I really do need to talk about that. So I'm just making a mental note. But Taurus in the second house, yeah, they're going to be a money maker, and they might be that for a lot of people. You might help a lot of people make money. You might help a lot of people discover their self worth, help a lot of people own their, sense of self, right? Like kind of this kind of energy is a Taurus and second house thing, teaching people how to make money for being themselves, right? You might teach people how to brand yourself. Okay, so Taurus in the third house would be somebody who consistently is either an overthinker or a thinker, right? Or somebody um who just speaks, expresses, who writes, who puts things out there about their pleasures, about their um yeah, probably mainly about their pleasures because it's Venus energy, about what they value, about their, what they think is right and wrong. These might be things, what they value, what their morals are, might come more into play into how they are expressing themselves with Taurus in the third house. It's a place of comprehension. It's also a place where we relate to our friends and our small time community, like our neighborhood. So this might be like somebody who is very deeply connected to neighbors or to their friends, their siblings, just the extended people, the neighboring people. This could also be somebody because the third represents transit. So this could be somebody who like is big on cars, you know, and they might be connected to some sort of transiting. So like the train, or like short-term traveling is something that could be a part of the brand here. In the fourth house, it's very simple. The fourth house is our home, right? So this is somebody who could about where to housing, the housing process, renovating houses, flipping houses. That's a big thing right now. This could be somebody who is branded on creating, you know, creating homes for people. There used to be a a show called Extreme Home Makeover. That makes me think of that. The extreme might come from something else, but just the idea of creating homes for other people, um, a safe haven for other people or for themselves, connected to the family. This might be somebody whose brand is just their family. Like your family is a part of who you are. It's how, and it's what you would show off. And the people in your family might be, really interesting characters, or not interesting, but just the family itself has a strong hold, and people really are related and get pleasure off of that, and you could make money off of that. Now it's just a place to start, like I said. But the fourth house also can be your heritage, like the culture of your family, and where that comes from, the ethnicity of your family, and that being a major part of your marketing. I know that there's a lot of artists that I've been following who their culture, like where their family dynamics, belief in fatherhood is one person I can think of right now, but there's somebody else. But the culture of the family, the heritage of the family, is also a big marketing play for this artist. I can't remember his name, but he has a cute song out right now, and a lot of it is in the video showing the dynamics of his Indian family. So your family could play a major role. Now, remember that the brand isn't the product, and that's why I'm slowing down here, because I want to make that clear. The brand isn't the product, right? So you can be anything. You could be anything, but the brand is the core of you. It's what you are about every day. It's what you consistently are about. So you could be a lawyer who has Taurus in the fourth house, and a part of your brand is that you help families as a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? So the brand isn't the product per se, it's the core of who you are. It's how people relate to you, how people know you to be, what makes you distinctly you. Um, just to clear that up. Now, Taurus in the fifth house, this is children. So it's very similar to a fourth house, in which it could be that your brand is children. Belief in fatherhood too comes to mind, because he shows parenting, but he also shows his children as or it started with as the first thing. I don't know if you guys know Belief in Fatherhood, but it's a great brand, and he's an artist actually, right? And he's not a mainstream artist, but he's got success in merchandise and music based off of creating a vlog about his family and his children. So that also makes me think of Taurus in the fifth house, in which, even let's apply it to spirituality. Like, even if you are a tarot reader, I like tarot readers because I know that a lot of tarot readers are up in the building. So, like, if you were a tarot reader and you had the fifth house, you might do something where it's you and your children pulling cards, something as simple as that, right? So, the product is the tarot reading, but the brand is that you're doing it with your children, right? Or you could, there's all kinds of ways you can do it. That's just one idea. Now, the fifth house is also creativity. So it's like where you paint, dance, sing, act, and be your most expressive, talented self. So all of those little cute, talented skills you can integrate into your product, right? So the fifth house is actually a well of things, because it also is a romance energy. So your brand might be in matchmaking or love, just a boyfriend or girlfriend. If people are trying to find that, learning how to just be in the dating scene. So you can be a florist, right? And your product is flowers and delivering flowers, but if Taurus in the fifth house would be perfect for you, because you're um you know incorporating matchmaking with flowers. That's a great idea. I think I just discovered a great idea. I'm sure people are already doing that, but what if a florist was a natural matchmaker as well, through flowers or whatever? Like, pick your favorite flower and match it with somebody else's compatible flower. I don't know. But the idea here is love and dating with your brand, right? It's probably something that you're already interested in. You might just be somebody who loves romantic comedy movies, and it starts to spin your wheels and ideas and creating, well, how can I incorporate the fact that I just love romantic comedies into my already everyday product? Um, Now, the house, Taurus, this is a place of work. And it's very interesting because it's also, like how I said, Taurus and the 10th house creates, a certain energy because it's trying Capricorn energy, basically, in its natural ruling ship. I know some of you guys might not be able to follow what I'm saying, but just try to follow the conclusion that I make up with it, which is the 6th house is naturally Virgo energy, another earth sign. And so Taurus here becomes more, where they trine the energy, they become more like that energy, right? So a Taurus in the 10th house is a bossy boss, or pleasant bossy boss. Right, a passive aggressive bossy boss, but it's a boss because Capricorn is the boss, and Taurus and Capricorn are are earth signs. So with Virgo in the 6th house, being that Virgo's a service sign and Taurus is a bull, right? You become even more of a service for others. You become even more of that working horse for other people. And so this could be a part of your journey, like how part of your brand. How do you show your work ethic? How do you show your accountability? How do you show your daily schedule? Like, how do you show, it's kind of mundane, and it's like, how would people be interested in? But there's a lot of people that just don't know how to have a great work ethic, or how to be organized, or how to be, just on top of their everyday life. And a Taurus in the 6th house might be consistent with working on that. And it might incorporate some cool things that are Taurian like I enjoy getting a massage once a week to maintain the fact that I need to work like a crazy person. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't. Or maybe your whole thing is that you don't be working that hard, right? And that's the idea, because Taurus in the 6th house wants to work you hard, but maybe you're like, I'm not trying to work that hard, and you have a whole new way of being because you're not trying to be taken advantage of as a service oriented person. That could also be the case sometimes with Taurus in the 6th house, so that might be it as well. So your work ethic, your work philosophy, your work morals, your work style becomes a big thing here, and you can play off of that in whatever field or modality that you're already in, showing your process, showing how you get your product complete, things like that. Okay, makes so much sense. Yes, so true for me. I'm overworked. I'm overworked. Yeah. To offer ease. Awesome. Okay, now Taurus in the 7th house, similar to the 5th house, is about a love and romance, but the 7th house is commitment. That's where we go from dating to marriage, right? So this could be a part of your brand, is that maybe you are connected to matchmaking as well, but on a level of, there's a there's a few shows that I'm thinking of, like Married at First Sight would be something that would work here, you know, or Love is Blind, where people go right into matchmaking for marriage versus for dating. There's two different things, and there's matchmaking for two different things. So that could be it. It could just be on your ability to relate to people, because the 7th house has a lot to do with just how you relate to people, how people relate to you, in the sense of how relatable are you. It's a social house, it's a house of one on one. So I'm saying to people, but it could also just be one on one. And it's also a business house. It's about commitment. And so you can showcase at the core of you how you are committed to people, committed to your business. I feel like it's people, but it could also be business, committed to something that you're about, committed to your morals, committed to anything. What are you committed to is a big part of your brands, and a place where you can start with the 7th house. Okay, so that is around the clock in the house systems. And I hope that you guys like this talk about Taurus being your brand energy and where you can start to play around with that, right? Now, I just wanted to do a secondary um, thing about being consistent, because like I said, I have Mars in Taurus, so this merges very well for me, this talk. But what if you have Taurus and you don't have any planets there and your Mars is somewhere else? Your Mars represents your activity, and that also is something that you're probably doing every day where Mars is in your chart. So this can also help to inform you as to what the core of you are, what the core of your brand is, as in regards to being consistent, right? Because where Mars is, Mars might not be in a consistent sign. This is why we need to first focus on Taurus. But you might want to secondary look at where Mars is, because Mars is going to show you where it is that you pretty much take activity every day towards. And that can also help to inform your brand, inform you of where you need to be consistent. And as a tertiary in your chart, we might as well talk about Venus, as Venus is a planetary ruler of Taurus. And because of your Venus, you could also be consistent because Venus is right. And typically, we are seeking pleasure on regards. So Venus can also show where you would be consistent because it would be a pleasure zone for you, which creates the ability for you to be consistent, right? We're typically always looking for those high sugar dopamine like experiences that Venus provides for us. So Venus can be a tertiary thing to help use your astrology to brand yourself. So thank you guys so much for the vibes, for the frequencies. Thank you for all the comments. I'm so glad that this topic is worth your time. And I will see you guys in the next live when I come up with the next thing that I want to passionately share with you about astrology. Who knows what it will be, because I'm not going to just do for doing sake. Peace and love.